All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of Swag Talk, the show where we cover the swag inside and out. Of course, I'm your tour guide around the swag. See what's coming at you. And we are wrapping up week 12, 12 weeks, well, technically 13 because of week 0, but 13 weeks of football are in the books. Got one more regular season week coming at you. A lot of action, a lot of craziness. So we're going to cover everything, and we're going to talk about, everything that took place this weekend, wild weekend of swag football. So we're going to talk about all of that. Before we get started with that, you can check out the socials on the screen. Facebook is Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. If you'd like to help donate to the growth of the show, you get the Cash App $ Swag Talk. Like the videos and share them and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. If you have, man, thank you, and want to let somebody else know to subscribe. So we can continue to get these numbers up. We are almost at 800, so let's try to get there, man. That's the goal right now, is 800. So we're going to try to get where we got to go with that. So before we get started with the football, let's talk a little basketball. Swag women's basketball, Jackson State got a nice blowout victory over ULL this past week. Southern defeated Northwestern State on the road. And Grambling got a big victory against University of New Orleans on the women's side. So 3 nice non-conference victories. For the women's side, that's Jackson State's second non-conference victory in like a week. So they're picking up those wins. On the men's side, Southern defeated Cal from the Pac-12. It wasn't a part of the Legacy Challenge, but still a victory over the Pac-12 gives the SWAC 4 victories thus far this season. So, nice start for the SWAC in non-conference. Also, Valley picked up their first non-conference victory since 2018. So big victory for the Delta Devils to pick up a win in the non-conference, because that's been few and far in between for them. So this should be a very exciting SWAC season, men's and women's in the regular season. JSU women look like they're going to really be down to defend their crown. And I think the men's side is going to be a battle. Right now, everybody's looking sharp. And when the conference play starts, we'll start to see some separation. But right now, I'm excited for SWAC basketball, but we got a little bit more football to finish up before we can really fully focus on basketball. Although some people this week can put their football pads up and focus on basketball, because this is the last game of the season for pretty much everybody except for 5 teams right now, maybe 6 if you count another team. So let's go ahead and start this football season. Start this week recap off with a game that, to me, was a foregone conclusion, but I was so wrong. Prairie View came into this game needing a victory over Valley to wrap up the West Division, and they no nice way to say it, man. They blew this opportunity. They actually dropped a 27-7 decision to Mississippi Valley. As you can see on the screen, my prediction was totally off. Valley played a typical Valley first half, didn't really do a lot. Prairie View was able to get a touchdown in the first quarter to take a 7-0 lead. And Valley would come out in the second half and own this game and really make Prairie View's championship game hopes take a huge tumble. Let's look at the scoring summary. Like I said, Prairie View scored first, with Trezon Connolly had an 8-yard touchdown run. Came with 7:24 left in the first quarter. Extra point was good, so Prairie View led 7-0, and that would be the halftime score. After the half, Valley took over. Valley scored. They scored a field goal from Fernandez from 26 yards out. That came with 9:12 left in the third quarter. With 2:21 left in the third, Sylvester Campbell caught a 15-yard pass from Jelani Easton. Extra point was good. Valley took a 10-7 lead. With 34 seconds left in the third quarter, Valley got a pick 6 from Kenneth Martin from 47 yards out. Extra point good. Valley led 17-7 at that point. Fourth quarter, 6 minutes and 3 seconds left. Fernandez kicks a 36-yard field goal for Valley. Valley takes a 20-7 lead, and then with 43 seconds left in the game, Valley gets a 5-yard run from Jared Wilson to seal the game. Extra point good, 27-7. This second half of Prairie View was disastrous. two turnovers back to back and a turnover on downs led to Valley being able to score 17 points off of those opportunities. The offense just really could not. Valley's defense played really well in this game. Looking at some of the numbers, 13 first downs for Purview, 16 for Valley. Purview ran for 203 yards on the night on 40 carries, 5.1 yards per carry. They only had the one touchdown. Valley ran the ball for 171 yards for 38 carries, 4.5 yards per carry, and one touchdown. The difference to me, and it's not much when you look at either side, but Prairie View passing game this week just did not show up. 82 yards on the night, 7 of 15, no touchdowns and one interception. Valley actually turned the ball over twice on interceptions in the first half, and Prairie View really couldn't do much with that. Valley was 13 of 30 for 93 yards, one touchdown and the two interceptions. Total offense, Prairie View 285 on the night, 55 plays, 5.2 yards per play. They turned the ball over 3 times. They had 3 fumbles and the one interception, so 4 turnovers for Prairie View on the night. That definitely is a recipe for disaster. They had 4 penalties for 34 yards. Valley 264 yards of offense on 68 plays, 3.9 yards per play. They didn't fumble the ball at all. They had 3 penalties for 25 yards, so a lightly penalized game in this game. Not a lot of penalties at all. Purview punted for 31.6 yard average on 5 punts, 39.4 average on 5 punts for Valley. Time of possession, Purview 25-31. They were 2 of 10 on third down, another disastrous statistic. 0 for 2 on fourth down, 1 for 2 in the red zone, and they had 2 sacks as a defense. They were 1 for 1 on extra points, and they missed a field goal. So that first half, Prairie View could have really put this game out of reach, but they just could not get another point after that first touchdown. And like I said, Valley was able to capitalize on Prairie View mistakes in the second half and put this game out of reach. 34-29 for Valley time of possession, 8 of 17 on third down for Valley, 1 for 1 on fourth down, 4 of 4 in the red zone, 1 sack for the Delta Devils. They were 3 of 3 on field goals, and they made both of their extra points. They were 3 for 3 on extra points and made both of their field goals on the night. Individually, Trezon Connolly, 7 of 15 for 82 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and he was sacked once. Easton, 13 of 30, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked twice. Jaden Stewart, 18 carries for 85 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. Connolly, 12 for 68, and a touchdown, 5.7 yards per carry. Wisham, 7 for 30. He averaged 4.3 yards per carry. Goodwater, 2 for 14, and Law 1 for 6. So, like I said, a solid night running the ball for Prairie View. That's a slightly below average night because they average about 240 yards on the season, but that's still a pretty solid effort to run for over 200 yards, but not enough being able to capitalize on any opportunity that Valley gave them in the first half. 2 first half interceptions for your defense, and you don't come out of there with much. Jacoby Thomas, 12 carries for Valley for 58 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. Easton, 11 for 54 for 4.9 yards per carry. Wilson, 13 for 54 and a touchdown. He averaged 4.2 yards per carry. And Whitaker, 2 for 5. So a solid night for Valley on the ground. That's a little bit above average night for them running the ball. They were able to get some timely scrambles from Easton, and Thomas did some steady running to keep the ball moving and help move the chains, and especially in that second half. Spiller had 1 catch for 25 yards for Prairie View. Washington, 2 for 25. Howard, 2 for 23. Heron, 1 for 5. Wisham, 1 for 4. Valley was led by Jean with 3 catches for 38 yards. Rankin, 6 for 20. Campbell, 1 for 15 and a touchdown. Johnson, 1 for 9. Howells, 1 for 9. Eads, 1 for 2. Defensively, Presley led Prairie View with 9 tackles. Johnson with 8. Evans with 7. James with 7. Reese with 5. Alexander with 4. Tackles for loss. Stanford with 2. James, 1.5. Harris, 1. Nobisi 1, Presley 1, and Evans a half a tackle for loss. Sacks, James and Harris each had 1 sack apiece. And interceptions were by Smith and Jackson. Valley was led defensively by Reed with 11 tackles, Fox with 8, Martin with 6, Thomas with 6, Alexander with 4, Refuge with 3, and Bell with 3 tackles for loss. Thomas had 2, 1 for Fox. Thomas had the sack on the night. Forced fumbles were by Fox, Bell, and Vic. Recoveries were by Bell, Thomas, and Jennings. Interception was by Martin. He returned 47 yards for a touchdown. So, like I said, Prairie View had their opportunities in this game. They had plenty of chances in the first half to kind of wrap this game up. And, if you get a team like Valley down, you can knock them out. If you let them hang around, their confidence starts to build, and you could see that in that second half. Every play Valley made, they started getting a little bit more confident playing at home as well. Definitely boosted their energy and their will to win. So Prairie View finishes the regular season 6-5, 5-3 in conference. Valley finishes 2-9 and 2-6 in conference. Won 2 out of their last 3 games. So a better end than the start, but not enough wins for Valley this season to capitalize on some of the attention that a lot of people put on them this season. Prairie View now has to wait. They had an opportunity to wrap up the SWAC championship if they won. Now they must wait until the Bayou Classic to determine their fate. So they still have a slight opportunity. They still have a slight opportunity if Southern doesn't win the Bayou Classic, but other than that, their hopes are pretty dashed. And that's a wasted opportunity for a game that was definitely a winnable game. I won't say an easy game because I feel like Valley would be a tough out at home. Although my score prediction didn't look like that, but Valley is tough to play at home, and you could win a game going away by a decent margin. They're gonna fight, and they fought and didn't give up, and Prairie View just could not capitalize, and they saw their hopes go away. Speaking of the next team in the West Division that came into this weekend with an opportunity to make something happen, and that would be Texas Southern. They took on Alabama A&M, and they also lost this game by a score of 24-20. This was another game where the losing team had this game in control. Texas Southern had this game basically locked up, and they were driving for a touchdown that would basically probably wrap up the game. I mean, there was still a lot of time left in this game, but there was about 6.5 minutes left in this game, 7 minutes left where TSU was driving for the score to basically clinch this game. And Alabama A&M was able to force a TSU fumble on Andrew Body going across the goal line, knocked the ball loose about the 2-yard line, and ball went through the back of the end zone for a touchback. And Texas Southern gave up a big touchdown to A&M after that, and then A&M scored another touchdown to basically win this game. So you lose your quarterback Andrew Body on that same play. I don't know what his status is as far as his injury. I haven't seen anything yet. Hopefully he's doing okay. He didn't come back for the last 2 series, so hopefully it's nothing major, and he'll be able to be back and be ready by spring practice because he has another huge year ahead of him, his junior year coming up. So hopefully, it's nothing major, and we'll see how he turns out. Hopefully, like I said, I'm hoping he turns out okay, and it was just something that they just wanted to, he wasn't able to finish that game. Looking at the scoring summary, A&M scored first in the second quarter with 12:46 left. When Barbosa kicked a 24-yard field goal, gave the Bulldogs a 3-0 lead. Kevin Harris got the Tigers on the board with 2:21 left in the first half with a 1-yard run. TSU went for 2 and got it. So they went into the half up 8-3. Third quarter, Texas Southern scores with 10:21 left. Bennett caught a 20-yard pass from Body. A 2-point conversion, no good. 14-3 was the score at that point. with 13 minutes and 24 seconds, 13:29 left in the game. Masters caught a 39-yard pass from Body. 2-point conversion was intercepted. That made the score 20-3. A&M would get their first score in the second half with 10:55 left in the fourth quarter. Langford coming in for an injured Quincy Casey. He ran a 5-yard touchdown run, extra point good. Score was 20-10 at that point. And like I said, TSU turns the ball over, going into the end zone. A&M gets the ball and drives 80 yards and scoring on a 34-yard Cameron Young pass from Langford with 6:15 left in the game. Extra point good, 20-17. TSU would go 3 and out, and then Langford would run a 38-yard touchdown for the Bulldogs with extra point good to give them a 24-20 lead, and then TSU would get the ball but be unable to do anything, and A&M would get the ball, run the clock out, and Alabama A&M would get a 24-20 victory. Statistically, TSU 20 first downs, Alabama A&M 26. 231 yards on the night on the ground for the Tigers, 42 carries, 5.5 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. 258 total on the ground for the Bulldogs, 44 carries, 5.9 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. 191 yards passing for Texas Southern, 12 of 27, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. 271 through the air for the Bulldogs, 21 of 34, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. 422 yards of offense for the Tigers on 69 plays. They averaged 6.1 yards per play, 2 fumbles, and they lost both. 4 penalties for 35 yards. Alabama A&M 529 total offense on 78 plays, 6.8 yards per play, 2 fumbles, and they lost 1. And they had 8 penalties for 70 yards. 5 punts for TSU for a 29.2 yard average. 3 punts for the Bulldogs for average of 31.7 yards per punt. 27 minutes and 15-second time of possession for the Tigers. 4 of 14 on third down, 2 of 4 on fourth downs, 2 for 3 in the red zone, and they had 1 sack on the night. Didn't attempt the extra point. They had all 2-point conversions, and they did not attempt a field goal. 32 minutes and 15-second time of possession for the Bulldogs, 6 of 15 on third down, 2 for 4 on fourth downs. They were 2 for 4 in the red zone, and they had 4 sacks on the night, and they were 3 for 3 on extra points and 1 for 1 on field goals. Individually, Andrew Body led TSU 12 of 24 for 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 3 times. Tyson Hill 0 for 3 with a sack. Langford 6 of 8 for 113 yards and 1 touchdown, no interceptions, no sacks. Casey 12 of 24, 104 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a sack. Tucker 2 for 4 for 51 yards. No touchdown, no interception, no sacks. Cox 1 for 1 for 3 yards. No touchdown, no interception, no sacks. Body led TSU with 15 carries for 149 yards. He averaged 9.9 yards per carry. Harris 5 for 33 and a touchdown, 6.6 yards per carry. Ford 3 for 18. Owens 6 for 17. Howard 11 for 17. Hill 2 for -3. Eaglin led the Bulldogs with 20 carries for 120 yards, averaged 6 yards per carry. Langford 7 for 76, 2 touchdowns, 10.9 yards per carry. Jemison 7 for 28. Gardner 1 for 23. Young 1 for 16. Tucker 1 for 3. Cox 1 for 0. Casey 1 for -2, and a -6 yard run credited to the team. Morton led TSU with 5 catches for 90 yards. Masters 1 for 39 and a touchdown. Bennett 2 for 33 and a touchdown. Mitchell 2 for 15. Shane 1 for 7, and Leary 1 for 7. Hambrick led the Bulldogs with 6 catches for 139 yards. Young 3 for 36 and a touchdown. Gardner 5 for 32. Johnson 2 for 24. Cox 2 for 19. Turner 1 for 14. Morrow 1 for 4. Langford 1 for 3. Henderson led Texas Southern with 13 tackles on the night. Cooper 8, Akins 7, Fuller 6, McGraw 6, Bargerty 5, Anderson 4, Hamilton 4, Benjamin 4, and Williams with 4 tackles for loss. Akins 2.5, Williams, Cedric Williams 1.5, Jarvis Williams 1.5, Anderson 1, Fuller 1, Bird a half a tackle for loss. Sack went to Anderson. Forced fumble was by George. Recovery was by George. Interception was by Hamilton and Cooper. A&M was led by Terry with 16 tackles, Rice 5, Smith 5, Hester 5, Hayes 4, Moses Douglas with 4, Middleton with 4. Tackles for loss, Hayes and Hester each had 2. Middleton 1, Wesley 1, Terry 1. Sacks went to Hester, Hayes, Middleton, and Wesley. Forced fumbles were by Middleton and Terry, recovered by Douglas. And obviously the one went out the back of the end zone, was credited to the team. And no interceptions on the night. So big victory for Alabama A&M as they close out their season with a 4-7 record, 4-4 in conference. Texas Southern drops to 5-6, and now they are out of the race for the West Division, finishing 4-4. Had a good opportunity to at least finish no worse than second place if they won that game, with an outside opportunity to, well, with a good opportunity to make it to the SWAC championship if they won, and with the Prairie View loss. So a big opportunity slips away for Texas Southern, but they finished 5-6 and 4-4. So, you know, they're still on the rise. Just a rough end to the season. You hate to see a team lose a game in a situation where they had that game under control with the opportunity to put the game away, and they are unable to do it, and losing one of their good players in the same process. So, like I said, hopefully Andrew Body is okay, and the Tigers will be back. They are a young team this season. They're definitely going to be a factor in this race moving forward. Our next game that we're going to talk about is a game that doesn't really have any effect on the standings because the East Division is already wrapped up. But Jackson State was able to get a victory over the Braves of Alcorn by a score of 24-13. JSU, they wrap up an undefeated season, 11-0, their second straight undefeated SWAC season. They're heading into a SWAC championship game that they will host against a team that they probably have already beaten if they face Southern. Otherwise, it'll be Prairie View, a team who they haven't played yet. But JSU, they did what they had to do in this game. Obviously, Alcorn played a solid game. This is one of those games where you got to expect to take a team's best shot, and I think Alcorn gave them all they had, and JSU was able to withstand it and pick up the victory. Mata got Jackson State on the board first with a 38-yard field goal that came with 4:19 left in the first quarter. JSU led 3-0. Jarvian Howard would get a 7-yard run a 2-yard run for Alcorn with 11:42 left in the second quarter. Extra point was good. Braves led 7-3 at that point. Wilkerson, 2-yard run for Jackson State with 8:06 left in the second quarter. Extra point good, 10-7. Travis Hunter, 44-yard pick six for the Tigers. Extra point good. That came with 7:39 left in the second quarter. 17-7, and that would be our halftime score. Kiani would get the Braves on the board again with a 27-yard field goal with 11:12 left in the third quarter, 17-10. And then with 14:22 left in the game, Kiani would get a 43-yard field goal for Alcorn, 17-13 at that point. And Travis Hunter would get, excuse me, he would catch a 19-yard pass from Shador Sanders. Extra point good, 24-13. That came with 11:26 left in the game. And Jackson State will win this game by a score of 24-13. It's 15 first downs for Jackson State, 15 for Alcorn. 42 yards on the night on the ground for Jackson State. Really a subpar night running the ball, 38 carries, 1.1 yard per carry, and 1 touchdown. 68 yards on the ground for Alcorn, 45 carries, 1.5 yard per carry, 1 touchdown. 216 through the air for Jackson State, 18-29, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Alcorn, 183 yards passing, 9-24, no touchdowns and 1 interception. 258 total offense for Jackson State, 67 plays, 3.9 yards per play. They fumbled once and lost it. 7 penalties for 75 yards. Alcorn 251 yards of offense on 69 plays, 3.6 yards per play. They had one fumble and they lost it, and they had 6 penalties for 55 yards. Jackson State punted 6 times for a 33-yard average. Alcorn punted 7 times for a 38-yard average. Time of possession, Jackson State 30 minutes and 12 seconds, 4 of 13 on third downs, 1 for 2 on fourth downs, 3 of 4 in the red zone, and they had 7 sacks on the night. Defense really turned up huge in this game. 3 of 3 on extra points, 1 for 1 on field goals. Alcorn 29-48 time of possession, 4 of 17 on third downs, 1 for 3 on fourth downs, 3 of 3 in the red zone. They had 5 sacks. So both defenses did a really good job of putting pressure on the quarterback. That's not a surprise. Both defenses have over 30 sacks in the season. Alcorn 1 for 1 on extra points and 2 for 2 on field goals. Shedeur Sanders 18 of 29, 216, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 5 sacks. Trey Lawrence 8 for 23, 153 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked 5 times. Tavarius Aaron Adams 1 for 1 for 30 yards, and he was sacked twice. No touchdown, no interceptions. Wilkerson led Jackson State with 21 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Marshall 5 for 9. Alexander 2 for 0. 1 for -1 credited to the team. Hunter 1 for -10. Sanders 8 for -19. Howard 28 carries for 96 yards for Alcorn and a touchdown. Leatherwood 4 for 14. Adams 5 for 0. And Lawrence 8 for -42 on the night. Hunter led Jackson State with 2 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Daniels 4 for 45. Coleman 3 for 42. Gaines 2 for 36. Powers 1 for 11. Wilkerson 1 for 11. Hooks 2 for 10. Marshall 1 for 9. And Stevens 2 for 3. Hunt led Alcorn with 4 catches for 109 yards. Bollard 4 for 68. Jones 1 for 6. Davis led Jackson State with 12 tackles. Aubrey Miller 11. Smith 5. Bolden 5. Arrington 5. Reagan 5. Williams 5. Hunter with 4. Niles Gaddy with 4. Tackles for loss. Reagan 3.5. He had a huge game. 3.5 tackles for loss and 3 sacks and a forced fumble. Big game for Justin Reagan. Aubrey Miller 1.5 tackle for loss. Williams 1 tackle for loss. Gaddy 1 tackle for loss. Smith 1 tackle for loss. Hobson 1 tackle for loss. Silman Craig 1/2 a tackle for loss, and Arrington 1/2 a tackle for loss. Sacks, like I said, Reagan with 3. Williams with 1. Smith 1. Gaddy 1/2 a sack. Hobson 1/2 a sack. Silman Craig 1/2 a sack. Arrington 1/2 a sack. Reagan forced fumble. Interception by Hunter. Return for a touchdown. Alcorn was led by Cherilus with 12 tackles. Kinsler with 9. Ellis with 7. McCullum with 7. Bailey with 6. Smith 5. Woods 5. And Dawson with 5. Webb had 4 tackles for loss. Cherilus with 3. 2.5 for Bailey. 1 for Blunt. 1 for Ballard. 1 for Ellis. 1 for Jones. 1/2 a tackle for loss for Kenny. And McCullum and Dawson, they each had 1/2 a tackle for loss along with Kinsler. And Webb, they each also had 1/2 a tackle for loss. Sacks went to Bailey with 2.5. Cherilus with 1. Ballard with 1. And Kenny with 1/2 a sack. Forced fumble was by Kinsler. Recovered by Webb. Interception by Key. So Alcorn, they played hard on defense. The run game was able to have some success, but pass protection really, let them down. JSU didn't have the best running night on the night. Alcorn's defense really played really solid. They've been playing pretty well all year. Even in those losses, those other losses in the season, their defense played pretty well. So offensively, they, losing the quarterback really has kind of set them back a little bit. And now their season is over. They finished short of a winning season. And they finished out of the division race. So, a tough finish for Alcorn. Really was a solid start to their conference schedule. Then they had a slump in the middle of the season where they lost 3 in a row. They were able to right the ship at least and get themselves back in in a situation where if a lot of things happen, they may have found themselves in the championship, but that was not to be. Jackson State, like I said, they wrap up an 11-0 season and an 8-0 conference schedule, back-to-back conference undefeated conference seasons, and now they head to the SWAC championship where they await either Southern or Prairie View, depending on the Bayou Classic. So, you can't ask for much more from Jackson State. Some games were really pretty for them. Some games were ugly, but when you play an undefeated season, you're gonna have a mix of games. Every game you're not gonna win by 40 points. Some games you're gonna play, subpar football, or at least what could be considered subpar football for your team, which is probably a good game for an opponent against you. But you can play not your best and still pick up the victory. That's the mark of a great team, and that's what they did. So they made it through the regular season, and now they await the SWAC West winner, whoever the hell that may be. Don't seem like nobody want to win the West, but the JSU gets a week off so they can kind of regroup and get themselves ready for that championship game. Our last game on the night, which was our game of the week, FAMU defeated Bethune-Cookman by a score of 41-20. FAMU basically controlled this game from start to finish. Not a lot going on for Bethune-Cookman in this game. FAMU took care of business, and now they await their fate in the FCS playoffs. So they won 9 games in a row after losing in the first 2, and they are the second hottest team in the conference, and probably in a just world, they're playing for a SWAC championship. If the league decides to do away with divisions, then this game would have been, they would have been heading into the SWAC championship over a team with 3 conference losses, which I have no problem with. But that's not the way the situation works. So they get an opportunity to hopefully go back to the playoffs and see what happens for them this year. FAMU started this game off with a Jalen McLeod 3-yard touchdown run with 9:57 left in the first quarter. Missed the extra point. It was 6-0 at that point. 5:01 left in the first quarter. McLeod gets his second touchdown, this time from 2 yards out. Extra point good, 13-0. Quayshawn Bird will get the Wildcats on the board with 13:34 left in the second quarter. On a 9-yard run, extra point good, 13-7. 11 minutes and 10 seconds left in the second quarter. Xavier Smith, 32-yard pass from Musa, extra point good, 20-7. 1 minute and 1 second left in the second quarter. Musa catches a 24-yard pass from Xavier Smith, extra point good, 27-7, and that's our halftime score. Ellington will get Bethune-Cookman on the board in the second half with a 15-yard catch from Jalen Jones, extra point good, 27-14. That score came at the 7:30 mark in the third quarter. 14 minutes left in the game. Averett catches a 2-yard pass from Jones, extra point no good, 27-20. At that point, FAMU will get a Kobe Gross 18-yard pass from Musa, extra point good, 34-20. That came with 10-11 left in the game, and then with 5:18 left in the fourth quarter, Jennings 7-yard run for the Rattlers for a touchdown. Martinez kicks the extra point, 41-20 at that point, and that would be our final margin. FAMU 17 first down, Bethune-Cookman 21. FAMU 30 yards on the ground rushing on the night, 24 carries, 1.3 yard per carry. The run game still has not been where it's at this season. 107 yards on the ground for the Wildcats, 3.2 yards per carry. 32 carries, 3.3 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Passing 252 through the air for FAMU, 18-22. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 177 yards passes for the Wildcats, 20-35. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. 282 yards for FAMU on the night on 46 plays, 6.1 yard per play. They fumbled once but didn't lose it. They had 7 penalties for 42 yards. 284 a total offense for the Wildcats, 67 plays, 4.2 yards per play. They had 1 fumble and lost it, and they had 10 penalties for 87 yards. 3 punts for FAMU for 440 3 punts for 400. I can't get the number. 3 punts for 44.7-yard average. Bethune-Cookman 5 points for 400. Why am I trying to say 400? 5 points for 45.8-yard average. Man, y'all gotta forgive me. I'm numbers drunk at this point. Let's see. Time of possession: 24 minutes and 55 seconds for the Rattlers. 4 of 9 on third down, 1 for 1 on fourth downs, 4 for 4 in the red zone, and they had 7 sacks on the night. Big defensive effort for the Rattlers. 5 or 6 on extra points and no field goals attempted. 35 minutes and 5 seconds for the Wildcats. Time of possession: 7 of 14 on third downs, 1 for 1 on fourth downs, 3 for 3 in the red zone, and they had 2 sacks on the night, and they were 2 or 3 on extra points. Individually, Musa 15 of 19 for the Rattlers, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked once. Fadul 1 for 1 for 25 yards. Smith 1 for 1 for 24 yards and a touchdown. Jordan 1 for 1 for 8 yards and a sack. Jalen Jones 19 of 33 for 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 7 sacks. Franklin 1 for 2 for 5 yards, no touchdown, no interceptions, and no sacks. McLeod 12 carries for 26 yards for 2 touchdowns. Davis 3 for 15. Jennings 4 for 14 and a touchdown. Smith 2 for -1. 1 run credit to the team for -1 yard. Musa 1 for -7. Jordan 1 for -16. Jones 19 carries for 61 yards for Bethune-Cookman and no touchdowns. Bird 9 for 39 and a touchdown. Lindsey 2 for 9. Riley 1 for -1. Robinson 1 for -1. Manigo led FAMU with 5 catches for 78 yards. Smith 5 for 73 and a touchdown. McLeod 3 for 26. Pruitt 1 for 25. Musa 1 for 24 and a touchdown. Gross 1 for 18 and a touchdown. Jennings 1 for 6. Davis 1 for 2. Shareed no catches on the night, so he did not have an impact in this game, but the offense still was able to do what they do. Alvarez led Bethune-Cookman with 4 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown. Riley 6 for 46. Ellington 2 for 40 and a touchdown. Lee 1 for 18. Bird 3 for 10. Reed 1 for 8. Thomas 1 for 6. Paul 1 for 2. Lindsey 1 for 1. Isaiah Major 8 tackles to lead the Rattlers. Eric Smith with 6. Cox with 6. Dunn with 6. Morgan 5. Stevens 5. Cheney with 3. Jenkins 3. Mentor 3. Tackles for loss: Dunn 4. Major 3. Stevens 2.5. Smith 1. Cox 1. Jones 1. Summers 1. Mentor half a tackle for loss. Dunn 3 sacks. Major 2.5. Stevens 1.5. Forced fumble. Dunn recovered by Dunn. Interception was by Morgan. Bethune-Cookman was led in tackles by Rosendo Lewis with 6. Eford 5. Thornhill 5. Hill Robinson 3. Sutherland 3. And Ratliff with 3. Tackles for loss: McKenzie 1.5. Loving 1. Thornhill 1. Hampton 1. Ratliff for half a tackle for loss. Sacks went to Loving and Hampton. They each had 1. Hampton had a forced fumble. No fumble recovery. Interceptions, none. So, like I said, this was a pretty by-the-book game for FAMU, but Bethune-Cookman had a late opportunity in the second half, but they still, couldn't get over the hump in that round. So, big victory for FAMU. Like I said, they closed out their season at 9-2, 7-1 in SWAC, and now they await their fate, which probably will be announced, shortly. Like I said, if they make it, check my socials for a post about that, and we'll preview that game on our Week 13 preview. So we'll see what happens with the Rattlers. Bethune-Cookman finishes an arduous season, a lot of road games, 2-9 and 2-6 on the year. And now a lot of questions will be had about Coach Smith and what his status will be. Some people feel like he may be let go, some people don't. So we'll see what happens with that. Crazy week of SWAC football, man. Let's look at the standings. For most people, this was their last game of the season. Jackson State 8-0, 11-0 overall. They await their opponent in SWAC championship. FAMU 7-1 in conference, 9-2 overall. They await their playoff fate. Alabama State 4-3, 6-4 overall. They play Pine Bluff on Thursday in the Turkey Day Classic. So they have one game left. Alabama A&M finishes at 4-4 and 4-7 overall. Bethune-Cookman finishes at 2-6 and 2-9 overall. Valley 2-6 and 2-9 overall. Prairie View right now is sitting at 5-3 and 6-5 overall. They'll wait their fate. What happens with Southern in the Bayou Classic? Southern is 4-3 right now, 6-4 overall. Southern wins the Bayou Classic. They go to the SWAC championship. Southern loses the SWAC championship. Southern loses the Bayou Classic. Prairie View goes to the SWAC championship. It's pretty simple now. It's crazy that it had to come down to the last week of the season, but that's how the SWAC twist is right now. Alcorn 4-4. They're 5-6 overall. Texas Southern 4-4. They finish at 5-6. Grambling is 2-5 and 3-7. Like I said, they have the Bayou Classic coming up on Saturday. And Pine Bluff is 0-7 and 2-8 overall, and they play Alabama State in the Turkey Day Classic on Thursday. So 2 games left on the season. So we have a Thursday game and a Saturday game. So the last week of regular season and maybe a playoff game. Like I said, we'll know that shortly. So not a lot of football left in the regular season. Like I said, the Turkey Day Classic, Alabama State and Arkansas Pine Bluff, that's a 2:00 kickoff. That game can be seen on ESPN Plus. And Southern and Grambling face off on Saturday in the Bayou Classic. That's a 1:00 kickoff, NBC broadcast. So y'all make sure y'all catch both of those games. And that's it for this week, man. Like I said, crazy week of SWAC football, but we made it. And now we have 1 week left in the regular season and then the SWAC championship. So with that being said, y'all catch me Wednesday on our Week 13 preview. Thursday, SWAC Smoke live, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday, our Week 13 recap. And then we'll have our SWAC championship preview the next week and our SWAC championship recap. Then it'd be basketball and Celebration Bowl. So and talk about all-star games and all of that in the off season. So still got a lot of stuff going on, man. Football wrapping up, but we still got a lot of stuff going on. So y'all continue to tune in to SWAC Talk. And I'm your tour guide, C-Well, signing out, man. Y'all have a good rest of your day, and we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.